Hello everyone, I'm here with my next video on the chapter The Enemy by Pearl S. Buck from the book Vistas for class 12. This video has got all the question and answers that can be formulated in this chapter. So let's start. Question 1. What was his father's chief concern about Dr. Sadao? Sadao's father was very serious about his son's future. He would never joke or play with him. His father's chief concern was his son's education. Therefore, Sadao was sent to America at the age of 22 to learn all that could be learned of surgery and medicine. Question 2. In what condition did Dr. Sadao find the American soldier at the seashore? The American soldier was badly wounded and lay fainted on the sand. At the side of him had already a stain of red soaking through. On the right side of his lower back, Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. If immediate treatment was not given to the man, he would certainly die. Question 3. What role did the American professor play in bringing Sadao and Hana together? Both Hana and Sadao met at the professor's house. Sadao started liking Hana. Though the professor's wife was very voluble, yet they were kind people, and Sadao also started living there as a paying guest. Thus, we can say that the American professor and his wife proved instrumental in bringing Sadao and Hana together. Question 4. What was Dr. Sadao's father's dream for his son? How did Sadao realize it? Dr. Sadao's father wanted his son to be an educated and successful man. He never played or joked with him. Sadao was sent to America to learn everything about surgery and medicine. Eventually, Sadao became one of the most famous surgeons and scientists of Japan. In this way, Sadao realized his father's dream. Question 5. Why did Dr. Sadao treat the American soldier even though it was an unpatriotic act on his part? As a doctor, Dr. Sadao was trained he would never let a person die if he could help. Thus, it was nothing unpatriotic on the part of Dr. Sadao. He even told old general about the soldier. Dr. Sadao only performed his duty and saved the life of a human being, not an American. Question 6. The general did not take any action against Dr. Sadao, even when he came to know about his sheltering of the American soldier. Why? The general needed Dr. Sadao's service as a doctor and a surgeon for his treatment. He himself told Dr. Sadao that no one in the entire Japan is so capable to save his life. Any action against Dr. Sadao would also lead to his own death. Question 7. How did Hana help Dr. Sadao? Hana helped her husband in the operation. She herself washed the man. While Sadao performed the operation, Hana helped him in giving the anesthetic. She acted as a nurse while her husband was performing the operation. Question 8. Why had Hana to wash the wounded man herself? Hana asked the governess, Yumi, of her baby to help to wash the man. But Yumi bluntly refused, saying she had never washed a white man and would never wash one. Moreover, that man was their enemy. Therefore, Hana had to wash the man herself. Question 9. How could you say that American was tortured? Who could have tortured him? The answer is, there were red scars on the backside of the neck of the American. It clearly showed that the man was badly tortured. The Japanese General Takima was a cruel man. He or his men must have tortured the man. Question 10. How did Dr. Sadao get rid of the enemy soldier? The answer is, Dr. Sadao had saved the man with great efforts. He didn't want him to hand over to the police and get him killed. Therefore, he decided to help the man get away in his boat. He loaded his boat with sufficient provisions. He asked the man to row the boat to a nearby island. Question 11. How did Dr. Sadao take bullet out of his body of the American soldier? Answer is, Dr. Sadao had to perform an operation to take bullet out of the body of the American soldier. The soldier was given an anesthetic. Dr. Sadao felt the tip of his instrument with some hard object. It was a bullet. Then Dr. Sadao probed with his fingers and took out the bullet with the cleanest possible manner. Question 12. Why was Dr. Sadao not sent to the battlefield? The answer is, Dr. Sadao was a famous surgeon and a scientist of Japan. He was perfecting a discovery to make the wounds completely clean. Besides, he was treating the old general. The general might need an operation any time. Therefore, Dr. Sadao was not sent to the battlefield. Question 13. Why did the servants leave Dr. Sadao's house? Dr. Sadao had given shelter to an enemy soldier. According to the servants, it was an act of treason. They looked upon the Americans as their enemies since Japan and America were at war. He told Hana bluntly that the white man ought not to be saved. First he had been shot, then the sea had caught him. When they found that instead of handing over the enemy soldier to the police, Dr. Sadao had decided to treat him, they decided to leave his house. Question 14. What was the second thing that happened in the afternoon? Why did this frighten the doctor's wife Hana too much? In the afternoon, the second thing happened. A messenger came to their house in official uniform. Hana became quite frightened. She thought that perhaps he had come to arrest her husband, but the man wanted Dr. Sadao to come with him as the old general was in pain. Question 15. How did the general react on Dr. Sadao's story about harboring the enemy soldier? Dr. Sadao went to the old general and narrated him the whole story. He also told him since he had done great efforts to save that man and he didn't want him to hand him over to the police. Now the general offered him to send his private assassins. He said that they were very competent and expert in internal bleeding. Question 16. Why do you think that the general spared the American soldier? The old general was very selfish. He knew if the matter about the enemy soldier had come to light, Dr. Sadao would come to a great trouble. He might be arrested for the treason. The general did not want it to happen. He needed Dr. Sadao's services for this treatment. Question 17. Did Hana think that Japanese torture their prisoners of war? Why? Yes, Hana did think that Japanese tortured their prisoners of war. She found red scars on the backside of the neck of American soldier. It was a clear fact that he was tortured badly by the Japanese. Question 18. Why did Sadao wait to fall in love with Hana? Sadao had met Hana in America, but he had waited to fall in love with her until he was sure she was a Japanese. He knew his father would only accept any girl who had been pure in her race. Question 19. Who was Dr. Sadao? Where was his house? Dr. Sadao was a famous Japanese surgeon and a scientist. He was perfecting a discovery to make wounds completely clean. His house was set upon rocks well above a narrow beach that was outlined with bent pines. Question 20. To choose between professional loyalty and patriotism was a dilemma for Dr. Sadao. How did he succeed in betraying neither? As a doctor, Sadao was taught that he should never let a person die if he could help. One evening, he found a badly injured enemy soldier on the sea beach near his house. The man could die if not given proper medical aid. Now Dr. Sadao decided to perform an operation on the man, though he was an enemy soldier. He tended him well and took great care of him. In this way, Dr. Sadao was able to maintain his professional loyalty. But Dr. Sadao was a patriotic man from the core of his heart. He knew it was an act of treason to harbor an enemy soldier. Therefore, he wrote a letter to the authorities about it and put it in his drawer. He even told the old general everything about the enemy soldier. It is the other thing that general did not take any action against the enemy soldier, but Dr. Sadao was able to maintain a perfect balance between his professional loyalty and patriotism. Question 21. Write in brief the character sketch of General Takima. General Takima was an old Japanese general. He was a very cruel person. He used to beat his wife mercilessly. He also tortured the prisoners of war very ruthlessly. He even had private assassins to have anyone killed. He offered Dr. Sadao to send 2 of them to kill the American soldier. He said that they were quite capable and could also remove the dead body of the soldier. But later, he did not do that. In fact, there was a selfish motive behind it. He needed Dr. Sadao's services as a doctor. He didn't want any problem should come to him. Therefore, he left the entire matter on Dr. Sadao to solve. He pretended to be a patriot, but in fact, he was a very selfish person. He didn't want him to involve himself in the matter. Perhaps he wanted Dr. Sadao to kill the man himself. The general was indeed a very self-absorbed person. Question 22. Do you think doctor's final solution to the problem was the best possible one in the circumstances? The answer is, the doctor had harbored an enemy soldier in his house. All the servants of the house had left their job. It was a grave crime to shelter an enemy soldier. Dr. Sadao could be arrested for that. Therefore, Dr. Sadao wanted to get rid of that man as soon as possible. He did not want to hand him over to the police. He knew that they would certainly kill the man. He was in a fix what to do. Now the man had gained sufficient strength. Dr. Sadao adopted the method that could be the best in given circumstances. He provided the soldier his boat. He made elaborate arrangements for the soldier's safe escape. All necessary things, including a torch, were provided to him, and he was told to signal 2 flashes if he ran short of supplies. He was also instructed not to signal in darkness, for it could be seen. He was to wait for a Korean fishing boat and not to take the help of any other boat for his escape. Finally, when Dr. Sadao received no signal from him at the appointed hour, he was convinced that the soldier had escaped safely. In this way, Dr. Sadao rose above the narrow considerations and acted in a true humanitarian form. His solution to the problem was the best possible one in the circumstances. Question 23. What explains the attitude of general in the matter of enemy soldier? Was it human consideration, lack of national loyalty, dereliction of duty, or simple self-absorption? The answer is, Japanese General Takima was a ruthless person. He even had private assassins to kill anybody. He used to torture the prisoners of war very badly. Dr. Sadao told him about the American soldier. He assured the doctor that he would send his private assassins to get the soldier killed. But he does not do any such thing. He perhaps leaves it on Dr. Sadao to handle the situation any way he likes. The general is worried of himself and he needs Dr. Sadao's services. Therefore, he does not want that any harm should come to him. He does not want anyone to know that Dr. Sadao has given shelter to any enemy soldier. Therefore, he does not send any of his assassins to kill the enemy soldier. It was not, in fact, human consideration. It was lack of national loyalty and dereliction of duty. The general knowingly does not send any of the assassins. He wants Dr. Sadao to deal with the prisoners as he wants. This is also an example of self-absorption. Question 24. Give a brief character sketch of Hana. Hana is an epitome of a loving, dedicated and a caring wife. She always has love and affection in her heart for Sadao. In spite of being married for so many years, she is still the same loving wife. She often assists Sadao in her medical operations as she helped him with anesthetics while operating Tom. Hana was an impeccable wife and stood by her husband in all his decisions. She helped Dr. Sadao when he was operating upon the enemy and also nursed and washed the prisoner herself when the servants had flatly refused to do so. When the servants disapprove of their action of harboring the enemy soldier, she does not lose her patience. She does not utter even a single bad word to them. When they leave the house on the 7th day, they are paid off by Hana. It reveals her kind and generous nature. Question 25. Write the character sketch of Dr. Sadao Hoki. Dr. Sadao Hoki was both an expert surgeon in the art of healing wounds and a scientist as well. At the age of 22, his father sent him to America to study surgery and medicine. There he fell in love with Hana but married after returning from Japan when his father was convinced that the girl was a pure Japanese. He was very generous and loyal to his country. His wife Hana was also a sympathetic, kind and obedient and a faithful wife. While standing on the veranda of their house, they saw something crawling on the beach. They approached there and found that he was a wounded and an escaped prisoner of war. At one time, they thought of throwing him back to the sea. On the other hand, they thought that the fellow would die if handed over to the police. As a doctor, he was trained to save a life if he could do so. There flowed the milk of human kindness in both of them. They brought him home, but the servants were badly against them. Sadao performed the operation and his wife Hana stood by him through every thick and thin. There was a great risk of Dr. Sadao being arrested for harboring a prisoner of war. Being a patriot, he declared everything to the general and was ready to face the consequences. This shows that both Dr. Sadao and his wife Hana were sympathetic, loyal, patriot, compassionate and honest. Question 26. While performing the surgery, Sadao remembered his professor. Comment. Sadao remembered his old American professor of anatomy had seen that his students had perfect knowledge of the human body. Ignorance of the human body is the surgeon's cardinal sins, sir, he had thundered at his classes year after year. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it anything less than that is murder. I hope this video was helpful to you. Please, if you are a newcomer, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon so that you can get the latest notifications. Do let me know in the comment section what else you want, which videos you like. And yes, do give your worthy comments too. Take good care of yourself. Bye.